Welcome back to the last round of the ASEAN Youth Chess Championship. So, yeah, sorry for the slightly late start. We have, of course, quite a lot of quick draws and, game started late, so, yeah. But we are back, yeah. And there are some interesting games, and there's some very exciting title fights, so we'll go straight to them. Alright, so wait, to give you a recap of standings. So Rihang is half a point behind the leader. So our leader has 6 points right now, and his leader is his opponent. Yeah, of course, you can join us. Why not?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
if somebody wants to join the stream, maybe after they have their breakfast. So
Before next.
yeah, so Rihang is half a point behind this Vietnamese guy. He's 2200, who probably can win the title with a draw because he has a tiebreak which is a bit higher than all of his opponents. Who are half a point behind. So if he makes a draw, he will probably win, and hence a very, very solid line. He plays knight d7, knight f6. It's hard to think of a more solid line than this. Knight takes f6 is the main move. Obviously, Ryung is very well prepared. He's got someone to prep his openings this time, so he is well prepared. Yeah. It's also nice to have someone to prep your lines, but I mean, personally, I don't have it, but some people like to have coaches to prep their lines, and you do you. Yeah. Bishop g6, bishop d3. It feels like black has got what it wants to. I mean, with prep and everything, it feels like black has. I mean, yes, white is up a lot on the clock, but I feel like black has sort of got a very, very solid and safe position. And, I don't think black will be in any danger here. Okay, what can black do? I mean, there are numerous ideas. Well, one idea could be, let's say, to bring the queen out. Maybe the queen could come. I mean, if you're not super sure whether the queen can go from a5, but maybe in some cases you can go to b5. You can place a rook a d8 or something. And this should be very normal, of course. Now, there are different ways for black to play here, of course. Now, there is also a move like c5 that can be played, trying to liquidate in the center and just, simplify. Knowing that a draw is good enough, of course. That's something that's worth doing. Okay, what else? Let's move on to the next game. So the next game is Nguyen Vuong, who also has a chance to catch here. This guy is also half a point behind the leader. He's full of Vietnamese opponent, so he's full of Vietnamese countrymen. And yeah, we have a Sicilian. You can see it's very sharp line because of course he's trying to win as black, so it's very sensible winning choice. And white is of course, I think white doesn't really have that much. White doesn't have a chance to win, but the white player, if he wins, he can get a medal, probably a silver or bronze, probably more like a bronze, but still pretty decent. So of course, white is trying to win this game. I think this game will just end in a decisive result because yeah, I don't see either player backing down. They're both trying to win at all costs. Well, g6 is played, and we'll see. f5 is hit, and white has a choice, and he's thinking now. He could, of course, ignore this pawn. It's possible to just play a move like queen h6, I think. Yeah, I think it might be. I think it's just possible to play like this, and well, there is interesting play here. I don't know how to evaluate such a position. F takes e6 might be coming up. Knight g4, queen h4, so you probably won't do that. So probably you go like bishop b7, but then bishop b7 hangs his pawn. So I'm not sure. You could take and go bishop b7. Yeah, and after rook g1, maybe go for queenside castles. And we have quite a messy position, and I don't really know how to evaluate this one. That's the point, right? Black is going for something which is, quite imbalanced, and this will give him winning chances. And white, of course, needs to win, so he does not, shy away from the complications. So, on board 3 we have Austin here. I don't know whether Austin has any chance at the medal. Probably it's more like an outside chance at this point, so it's not a very big chance, but, stranger things have happened. So, this line is very, very popular for white. Castles a6. This is normal. And now bishop e2, a very strange move. Yeah, and especially so because normally in this line, white plays bishop d3, and the main move for black is knight c6, and then he goes bishop e2. So now d4 is an idea. Yeah, and actually turns out that one of the main moves here is actually just to go back, and yeah, and this is normal. But after bishop e2, black plays. I mean, of course, it doesn't really make too much sense, yeah, because a lot of times, right, the bishop on d3, the idea will be, let's say after move like knight f6, take on d4 and, play something like knight e2. So, yeah, I'm not sure that this this makes sense for the bishop on d3. Okay, I mean, I'm not sure it makes sense to put a bishop on e2, because I don't know what he's going to do after this. Plays rook e1, knight e6, and now d3, knight b4. Very interesting. So black is trying to force white to take on d4. I probably wouldn't. I'm not sure I like that, actually, because it's wasting some time, and white probably has to take on d4 at some point. So I think we just go like bishop e7 castles, and then we can decide what to do. But, okay, knight b4 has been played. I think black is trying to force knight back to b1, but I'm not sure that white's so unhappy about doing so, right? And also the knight on b4 is kind of misplaced, so yeah, white now kicks the knight and brings the knight out. Yeah, knight go to c4 after this. Bishop e5, interesting. And no, this is quite strange. He plays c4, which I don't really like. I mean, I'm thinking whether you can even sack it. So I want to play knight c4, obviously, hitting that bishop. If dc3, I want to play knight e5. And I think that in a position like this, when black has a very good, white has a very good position. Yeah, he's got a lot of play. Yeah. Nice two bishops, excellent full compensation in my opinion. Yeah, just f4 and we can take this guy. We're doing well. So okay, bishop e5 has been played and now c4. Yeah, I don't like this move. d6, and I already sort of like what black is doing. I mean, now f4 is not an issue. I guess his idea was he was hoping for something like this and getting e5. Even here, I'm not super thrilled with black's position, to be honest, because d6 is coming. But d6 just shuts everything down. And now white's thinking, because I think he's realized he's messed up. So, already I like black. And black's much lower rated, which is another good thing for him, because white will be extra incentivized to try to win, which means that he'll probably be taking some crazy risk at this point. Okay, so we have another Malaysian. No, yeah, we have another Malaysian back down onto on bot 5. But, you know, you never know, right? These people, I don't think they have a chance to win anymore, but there is a Best Malaysian prize. In fact, there are Best Malaysian medals, so, you know, these people definitely have a shot to get them. 95, 85. I don't know about this line. I mean, if I'm white, I'm trying to play for a win. This is not what I'm going to do, right? It's simplifying a lot. And ED5 is kind of weird. Normally, they take win a knight, yeah? And some line like this simplifies completely. Just leads to total simplification and a draw. But, okay, ED4 was played, and now black hits with D5. And already I feel like this position is a little bit more comfortable for black, because the knight on c6 is more active than this knight on e2. And a lot of these, you know, symmetrical positions, it's really about comparing which pieces are, you know, comparing pieces with their counterparts, right? And, you know, the only piece that's more active than its counterpart, black, is this one. The rest are all equal. So, no, I feel black's more comfortable. Although it's not going to be a big deal, in my opinion. Bishop g4 and not h3. Very interesting. Bishop b2, so white temporarily gives up this pawn, but he plays queen d2. So, question is obviously what should black do, because he can't hold on to this pawn. Move like queen f6 would make sense, or even knight f5 for instance. For knight f5, maybe, I don't know, maybe he can play bishop g5 here. No, bishop b5, there might be something like this. Then a queen d5, maybe just like b6 or something. And it's rough. It should be some sort of equality for black. So knight f5 also works. Maybe queen f6 is also a main move here. But I guess white will play rook d1, knight f5, and yeah, then he can decide what to do. And white is two bishops, but at the same time b2 is gonna be hanging, and e3 is hanging right now, so you probably go bishop g5. And yeah, we'll see what happens here. Black can take on b2, and yeah, it's gonna be 2 pawns up temporarily, but after, let's say, bishop d5 followed by move like rook b1, yeah, this white's probably gonna get this pawn back. So I mean, yeah, we'll see how this ends up. Certainly some, you know, some play. I mean, both sides have some play, but I think that it should be some sort of equality. Yeah. Okay, black here in this game is playing very aggressively. So yeah, we have the rapper's son again, Rumi Arjuna Malik. His dad is apparently, so I don't listen to rap, but apparently someone told me, an old friend of mine told me that his dad is a famous Malaysian rapper. So Yeah, by the way, if he wants to come on the stream to confirm or deny these I don't think these are rumors, yeah, considering the number of times I've heard it. I think it's more like a fact. Then he's more than welcome to do so. But he likes to play very aggressively. Obviously, he's the son of a rapper. What else do you expect him to do? He likes these sort of bend-owning structures, and he hits with e5. And I'm not sure whether White has reacted correctly to this. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what White should do. Maybe d takes e6 makes sense in this situation, and knight f3, something like this, followed by castles. Looks quite nice for White. I mean, structurally, of course, White is doing well with this slightly exposed pawn on d6. But okay, Black has, his trumps as well. Maybe he can try to play a5 and try to push to a4. So perhaps things aren't that clear. But after fe5, knight g4, it seems like Black gets a very nice blockade on e5, which, I don't know. Means that now I like Black, I guess. Yeah. After, an opening which I'm not so sure about, I think Black is now doing very well. So positions are looking good for Malaysians so far in this, yeah, in this category. And on board one, yeah, not much progress as usual. Riyang's just blitzing as you would expect. He is well prepared when it comes to these things, especially if you're facing an opponent who only has one line. This can be quite useful because you can prep very deeply against them. Yeah. Okay, let's go on to someone else. Okay, so under 20, we have on board one Nguyen against Shahaya, and we have a Granfell, knight d5, bishop d2 line. Yeah, we have seen this from Nguyen already. Queen d, he takes on c3, interesting. So we were mentioning in the previous game that we saw that knight b6 is the main move, and I think Nguyen played bishop e3, and we got this type of typical. I think opponent played like e5 or something, and we got typical Granfell position. I can't remember how that game went, but was I think he had some knowledge here as well. So Black takes on c3, which is less common than castles. Well, it's still a playable line, of course, queen d2. It's just that it's a bit harder for Black to hit with c5 now that the bishop is on c3. So e6 is played. Black's going for bishop e7, I guess. So
next to the
yeah, I don't know if this is still theory, but certainly both players are out of their preparation. Yeah, maybe somewhere here one of these players has deviated. So yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next game, and we have a wow, what a weird position. How did this happen? So I think Aka might need to win this game. Let's go for something extremely aggressive. It's played d5 like this. I don't know whether this was right. Yeah, knight d5. This is the main line of the Banco, but I mean, objectively, it's not very sound. You're just trying to, you know, confuse your opponent a little bit. And unfortunately, I think for Aka, White is not confused. It's played very, very strongly. Queen c5 is correct. Yeah, rook b1, and now it's just looking like some extra pawns for White, yeah? I don't know what compensation Black really has at this moment. I mean, these at this moment, it looks like White has the material and the compensation, as they say. But well, it's Aka, so he'll fight. He'll fight hard. I don't really see the comp at this point. Okay, so White will probably drop his bishop back. Yeah. I don't know. White could drop his bishop back. I don't think he should be too worried about bishop f3 because, well, we could just play gf3 or even queen f5 and take back this bishop. So that would be pretty nice. So, yeah. All in all, looking pretty good. Alright, let's move on to the next one. What else is there? Yeah, I think White is doing very well here. Okay, let's move on to the next game. What's going on here? We have a Sicilian, bishop a4, and yeah, we get one of these positions again. I know Fabian loves this type of, Spanish positions. He insists to get them every single game. And if he could get them every day of the week, he could. Rook b8, b3. Yeah. we've seen this type of play before. He's gonna play knight f1 at some point, bring the knight to e3 or g3. It's very standard. And then I don't know. And then we take it from there. I don't really like these type of positions, to be honest, but you know, to each their own. Okay, so e4 d6. This is the other game, the next game. It's a game of Bakoyo. Bakoyo has been struggling a little bit since he beat Aka in round 3. He's not at the best tournament of his life, but that is life. Sometimes you start well and you don't have a good finish, or you start badly like Aka and maybe you have a decent finish, or something like Chahaya who has like started well and is probably gonna end well. So you never know how it is gonna be in these chess tournaments. So and that's what makes it interesting. So Aka's gone quite interesting with his opening choice. He's played this, so basically he's provoking knight g4, yeah, queen d2. He didn't have to do this. He could have started with move like h3, for instance, or he could simply play queen e2 and go castle's queen side even. But he's got a very specific idea. He wants to open the f file, and now he wants to target a pawn on f7. So that makes a lot of sense. Knight b6 and the bishop drops back, and now knight e2. So yeah, I mean, it's typical position, nothing too much to say at this point. Yeah, I think the games are proceeding quite slowly. I think both players, I think that's the thing, right? Everyone's really tense, so you can't expect people to go all out or anything. Yeah, I mean, people will be a bit tight in the last round because they don't want to have a bad result, obviously. So that's the point. Oh, by the way, we have a quick draw between Akio and another one of his opponents. I don't know whether Akio had anything to play for. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but anyway, a quick draw was the result. Well, we have another Malaysian in Lee Roy down here. He has got a very interesting position. Bg3 and e6 and now c4. So bishop e4 check. The Vietnamese players seem to like this line a lot, like bd2 castles, and d5. So this is obviously much better than knight e4, which was played against Aka a while ago. Obviously, this was horrible because of c5, and this was really, really bad. And actually, Aka went on to win this game, although he messed it up at some point. So yeah, it wasn't clean, but he got the job done. Okay, d5 was played. By the way, do you guys want to join? Come on, let's go. Yeah, we have some players from Laos here who are here to join us. Yeah, they were guests earlier in the week, and yeah, after the tournament has ended, yeah, we are here to for one last time. Yeah, so yeah, welcome to the stream.
So much waiting.
Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Suminta. I'm from Laos. I'm half Sri Lankan,
Ah, lovely.
and I'm in the category under 14,
Right,
and I'm 13 years old.
excellent. Yeah. So, how was your tournament? What did you do at the end?
I wasn't expecting, like, I lost a lot in the tournament, like a lot.
Well, that's life, yeah. Sometimes you have tournaments
Yeah.
that you win a lot, and sometimes you have tournaments where it's hard to win, and the losses just seem to power up. So yeah, that's life, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have good tournaments, sometimes you have bad ones, and you know,
Yeah, sometimes you have to deal with stuff.
yeah, for sure. Okay, so do you want to look at some of these games? So
Yes.
we had this game, right? Castles and d5.
Yeah.
This is a game of Malaysian Leon Ray. He can't really get a medal anymore, but he can fight for the second best Malaysian prize. So, that is a bit of a consolation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he can get it if he wins this game, and maybe if he doesn't win, he might get another prize as well. We'll see. So he plays e3. It's just weird. I mean, normally my understanding is that you don't combine e3 with b3, right?
Yeah.
In general. So I was thinking of like b3 makes sense. If you really want to play b3, I don't mind it. We just go bishop b2 right away. Yeah. Because I mean we don't really need the e3 move, yeah, in a lot of these lines. So knight e4 is played, which is I think black's trying to mess things up, yeah, trying to complicate as well. Because he didn't have to do that. He could play like queen e7. There was a game between Pascal and Lalif where Lalif played queen e7 and it was a draw. But yeah, there were many other moves. You could play a5 as well, for instance. Yeah. So like a5 or queen e7. Yeah. And black is
or
now
maybe
position, yeah.
h6 to get some breathing space for the king.
Yeah, but I don't really. There's no real bishop g5 or anything. It could be a threat, right? So I'm thinking maybe we don't need h6.
Okay.
Because also, with knight on d7, we can always cover an f8, right? Without any back rank issues. But maybe we could try something like that. Yeah, maybe. Maybe even apply h6, right? But okay, knight e4 was played, and now black has got very interesting structure, yeah?
Yeah.
It's almost like a structure from the Dutch, right? Yeah, the Stonewall Dutch, where black takes d4. Yeah, bishop b2 and knight b1. Ooh.
Mysterious.
Oh, this is actually an interesting concept, yeah. Because I think what he didn't want to do is because he was a bit worried that after a3, black would take, right? That's one thing. And also, even if he goes back, I'm not sure the knight is well placed, right?
Yeah.
No, maybe actually a3 would make sense because if he goes back, then there is f3, right? To hit this pawn formation.
Yeah.
So, but then he might not have like bishop d2, queen d2, and I don't know, some move. I don't know what move. Personally, I wouldn't be too scared about this because I'm thinking, two bishops. I have option to break a d5, right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be too scared of this. But it's late knight b1 so that you can kick the bishop back and bring the knight probably to c3.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
But I'm not sure. I'm not so sure about this. Okay, knight c3 has been played. So black probably will start to bring his stuff to the king side, yeah?
Yes.
Because black strategy would be to attack on the king side at some point, right? So maybe some sort of queen h. No, you can't play queen h5, the piece of d1. But that was, in some cases, moves like queen h5, the queen moves, some sort of attack like this. Now, I think black probably should be trying to push his pawns here, but it's not so easy because if h5, it does meet with h4 in a lot of these cases, right? So, but maybe it's possible, yeah. Let's say, I don't know, let's say I play with like queen e2. Maybe something like this is still interesting, yeah? Like queen g6. Although you have to be a bit careful that f3 doesn't work. But it doesn't work right now, yeah. It's
Yeah.
queens here. Maybe you can go to h6 as well, travel g5. Yeah, that makes more sense actually.
Yeah.
You go to h6 and travel g5. Although now you might have to worry about f3, yeah. So it's always a bit double-edged, these type of situations, yeah. But by going for this pawn structure, you're basically, accepting that you're gonna have to take some risks, right?
Yeah.
So I think
For your king.
yeah, for sure. So black, I don't think black is complaining about this. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. See if there's anything else that's interesting going on in the other categories. The seniors, I think most of the games have been quick draws. Efren has made a quick draw. Yeah. No, Efren was joking with me yesterday on the stream that as soon as he plays c4, his opponent would offer a draw. And it was close to that. It was very close to that. He made like a, 10-minute draw or something. So, fair play to him. Okay, now let's move on. We have Joey Antonio, who is not playing for draw. Joey is, by the way, Efren's roommate in this tournament. Although they did fight, and Efren eventually lost on time against Joey, which he was not very happy about, to say the least. But
Sicilian dragon.
yeah, interesting line because, as I understand, Bishop g7 is the old move, but it's not really that good. d5 is the main move, yeah? Takes and queen d5, and there's a lot of lines here. There is a big main line here, which I believe is like, I forgot it. It has something to do with bishop e3. Yeah, I think knight a3, yeah? Something like that. cd4, and yes, this is a big line. Queen e4 and bishop e3. The main line.
Yeah.
So the idea is that we want to take back on d4, and obviously you can't take here because there would be a winning tactic.
Oh.
And you might say, oh, I'll be smart. But you're not so smart after all, because I still get knight g5. So this is the main line now. Okay, black will play like knight h6 or something, maybe cd4 and then this castle, and it's a big main line, this one. But, I mean, objectively, black is fine here, I think. But okay, bishop g7 was played, and d4, and d5. But my understanding is that white is always a little bit better here. Knight c6 and bishop b5, which is correct. Bishop d7. I think this is also very much necessary, in a sense, because as much as black would love to play bishop g4, I think there is an issue with some type of position like this, yeah?
You have an isolated pawn
Exactly. This
and
pawn,
a backwards pawn.
yes, this pawn is a big problem, yeah, because eventually white will be able to power up on the C file, yeah.
Yes.
White will just maybe play queen C2, stock C5, and
Make some
you know,
pressure.
just there's even some idea like B3, bishop A3 to clamp down this square. And there's no worry about this pin because white can play H3 at any time, right?
Yeah.
So bishop D7 was played. But of course, this is a bit passive, right? And you see, this is why, this line is not so popular anymore because black's plays a bit passive. And white's going for very, very principled play. It's got bishop F1 and brought the queen back. And especially after H6, right? I think he's done this. Probably target this guy, right?
Yeah.
PD2 or something. Yeah. And what's king on Lisa?
It's that
Yeah, it's weird, huh? So I guess he can't go king side, right? He can't castle. So he's thinking, let me connect the rooks, and maybe on a good day, I might run to the queen side. I'm not sure about this, but I guess because the position is so closed, it's not that easy to exploit this king on d7, right?
yeah.
And it's not easy to open up the position, that's the thing. Yeah. I reckon that white should probably start to push on the king side at some point. I don't know how he would do that. Because also with the king on d7, right? If you think about it, for white's king, there's also a king safety issue. Yes, right? Because does he really want a castle king side? Because I'm worried that if it does this, it can be just like this. And yes, it's a pawn sack, but black now gets the h file open. Right. Maybe not g5 right away, but white will always have to think about ideas like this, which is, the other thing, right? Threat is stronger than the execution. And this is true in most cases when it comes to chess, right? So I don't know. White plays rook h3. Okay, this is his idea, I guess. So the king will probably end up on g1 like this, but he doesn't want to move the rook. There's another thing I'm going to suggest, by the way, which is that you don't have to move the rook from h1. You can get the king to g1, keeping that rook on h4, because that will, deter black from opening the king side. Because the rook there will be very good defender, yeah, and he will also be able to create some play here. Yeah, but black is slowly getting his pieces out. I don't think actually black is doing too badly here. It was a little bit passive earlier, but I don't know, about this. Maybe queen d1 wasn't the right way, allowing queen b6. Yeah, but I don't know. It made sense at first glance, but maybe it wasn't the strongest.
Yeah.
I don't know, but if not, then I don't really know what to do actually. Maybe just like normal move like rook c1, because black doesn't really have too much to do, right?
Yeah.
Because if he castles, we can go back for the same plan, queen d1, d2 that he did. I like that plan if black has castled, yeah, because that's obviously I think very nice to hit this pawn and later play for h5, yeah. Because I mean, let's say black was to do this now, I think there could be even ideas like this, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think in g5, I don't think we should hesitate too much here. We should sack somehow. Question is how. Bishop takes it. Thinking it's got to be either bishop takes or knight takes, right? It has got to be some sort of sack like this. Bishop takes maybe, so that we can take the check. We could throw in h6 as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether we want to do that. Maybe it's the same, yeah, because you got to go back to g8, right? So you go to h8, the bishop is lost. So you got to go to g8, and then probably I just push here.
Yeah.
So this is, I guess, Joey's plan, and no, it looks like they must be made somehow. Yeah. They must be made somehow, but how?
Mating puzzle.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, most certainly. Just need to get the knight away, right? Does this make any sense?
No, I'm thinking knight takes e6.
I was thinking knight e6 as well, but the king runs, right?
Oh yeah.
Does it run? I think it runs here, right? I couldn't find a way to win here. Because you check, I don't have to go back, I just play knight g6, yeah.
Yeah.
And then maybe I might even lose this. But lines like, I think knight g4 is probably it looks very strong at least, because I have this threat and this threat.
Yeah.
Which are both checkmate threats. And I think it's probably mate, yeah, it is mate. So, yeah. Yeah, it's completely lost. Yeah, this whole line is very strong. Yeah, bishop g5 was the way. Okay, so basically that's the idea of white. It's very aggressive, it's very to the point. This is how Joey likes to play chess. Just he's a no-nonsense kind of chess player, you know. He's very much to the point, and his moves are, aggressive and strong.
Yeah.
That's his style. It's almost old school Filipino chess. Old school Filipino style chess. Rook h3, rook a8. Yeah, but I think he did this a bit too early before Black Castle. I think that was an issue. Yeah, and this is now quite unfair, I think, because yeah, White has committed a lot on the king side, and the king is no longer there.
Yeah.
So I don't know about this. Yeah, I'm not so sure. It's quite an interesting game though, and obviously Antonio has told me he's gonna play hard for a win today, so you can see he's definitely following that strategy. So we have Rico Mascarenhas, who apparently he's he's a legend of Filipino chess, but yeah, we have a
Queen's
Shigorin, yeah, with knight c6. It is a queen's gambit, and Shigorin, yeah, bishop f3, dc6, interesting. The white's gone for very solid play, and knight c3, e6, e4.
taking this up.
Yeah, makes sense. No, I like what white has done actually. Yeah, black will have options like he plays queen h4 check forcing g3, and he's going to maybe try to hit the center later with a move like f5, which he does. No, I don't know. I think black has got interesting counterplay now. You can play, for instance, knight f6 to target that pawn on e4. That looks like a reasonable option. What's white gonna do? Maybe he's, and I'm surprised he hasn't done it yet. Maybe he's worried
Yeah,
about
maybe.
e5. Yeah. It's of course fundamental to make a move like this, but it's also principle, right? Like in knight d5, I think he'll play c4, right?
Yeah.
And just keep pushing, and maybe just move the queen. E2 or b3, I don't know, probably e2. The rook d8, I just like bishop e3 or bishop e2. Like his pawns, and white is big center, and black has to find a way to attack it. So we'll see what happens later, but as of now, I don't see a great way to attack these guys, so I like the center. Yeah. Okay, let's go on to the Ronnie Gunawan game. What has Ronnie done? It's definitely something interesting. This is one thing, I always look forward to the Ronnie Gunawan games, because one thing you can know about Gunawan, he always fights. Yeah, always. He always fights. Always fights for the win. So, c3, b5. There you go. Ronnie Gunawan move. Later is going to go for a5. Knight g5, e6. And the bishop goes back to e7. Okay. He wanted to protect d6, that makes sense, but I think white's position is quite comfortable. At the same time, it's still quite solid for black. I mean, he's probably playing for c5 at some point. In fact, can he do it now is the question. Maybe not, because this guy hangs, right? So
Yes.
there probably is some compensation after this, but I'm not sure is it enough. Maybe we can start with a6. I have to be a bit concerned that this guy will run into bishop e6, so that we run into bishop e6. That's my only concern. But as of now, I don't see how white can get it, because the knight has to move first, right? And when his knight moves, we can do something like bishop f8 and protect this pawn.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to move the bishop now and expose f6 for the knight, right? So we wait for his knight to move first, I think. Okay, what can he do? Knight g5 sounds like it looks like a GM Joey move. Yeah. Sorry about that. No, this looks actually quite annoying. The GM Joey style is pretty effective, yeah, a lot of the times. Threat is of course to take one of these guys. Not sure what does black do about this. Maybe he can play knight f8, because I was thinking bishop f8, but I'm a bit worried that there is a move like this, right?
Yeah.
And now it looks a bit dodgy, because I'm coming in, right? So I don't know. Maybe you have to play knight f8, right? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
So I'll go queen f3 still, hitting this guy. Nah, I don't like black's position. I don't like black's position. So maybe we have to be more careful. It's not a long knight g5. Then what can we do? Not so simple, eh? Not so simple. Knight f6 maybe. It's not super the move that I want to play, to be honest, but at least, you know, if you do this now, I am entirely with bishop f8. You don't have queen f3 because the knight is not hanging. I don't know. Let's see what the engine says. No, the engine loves white apparently. So a lot of these moves aren't really that good. Knight f6 is apparently bad because you block on c5. What else did we suggest? We suggested
I was thinking queen d8.
queen d8.
Yes.
Hey, it makes sense to stop knight g5. Yeah. Yeah. No, this makes sense. This makes sense. Maybe white just does rook d1.
Yes.
It's my worry, right? Because the one thing is that white could go for the kingside attack, but it also could just clamp the center and stop c5.
Yeah.
If you could do one of these, if you know, you can do one of these two things, then white is just clearly better, right? That's the problem. So black has to be careful about this. Okay, what to do? What to do? I don't know. Get b1. Okay, so just so we can move on to next game, but I think we like white here. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the two legends of the game, Malaysian Jimmy Liu against Angelo Yang. I think this is the second Malaysian opponent in a row that Angelo has played. Because yesterday Angelo played Ismail, and unfortunately Ismail wasn't able to put up any fight. Yeah, Angelo was just outclassed him. But Jimmy is, of course, a much stronger player than Ismail, so we will see if he can make any progress. C3. Okay, so Jimmy has played King C. One thing about Jimmy is he's a very good attacking player. Yeah. He's got positional understanding as well, yeah, which is also another thing. So what he's done is I think he's played very, very, he's playing for a win. Because he's double pick cannot, he's playing e5. Right?
Yeah.
This is a very standard setup when you're trying very much to win the game. And he did tell me for the start of this game he's just gonna play and see how it's gonna go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to take it easy and play one move at a time. But of course fight hard for the win. Because of course he has a chance at the medal. I think if he wins this game, he will probably he might get a silver even. So, assuming that Mascarenas doesn't well, if Mascarenas loses and Jimmy Liu wins, then Jimmy is getting the silver. In fact, if Mascarenas and no, because he cannot catch Efren, so Efren will probably be the goal. Yeah, Efren is of course two-time Asian senior champion, and basically yeah, he's made a quick draw against top seed, so that's great for his tie breaks. Yeah, I don't know though about what Jimmy has done. So this is something that Angelo likes to. He literally likes to control, the important squares many, many times. It's like, overprotection to the max. This is Angelo's style. Yeah. He likes to control the squares. So what he's done, you can see in this case, is he's controlled F5 literally with all of his pieces. Right?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want black to hit it at 5. But now Jimmy is saying, okay, fair enough. Now, how about this? I want to take on d5. And after you take on d5, you won't have this pawn, so you won't be able to stop f5. And once f5 comes, then your pieces start to be a bit misplaced. So, I don't know what Angelo is going to do. I think he would like to play c4. He's just trying to keep the center.
Yeah.
But it's of course a bit double-edged, right? Because he does get the c file. Maybe Jimmy doesn't take immediately. He plays like rook c8 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just chills. There's also an option that, you could take. I mean, you could also take and play rook c8 if he's worried about d takes c6. Which also looks like pretty chill position. Go bishop a6. So I'm thinking, does it make sense for white to go for dc6 now? And surely this is something that Angelo is thinking. Because after bishop c6, maybe he can clamp down on his square somehow. Actually, maybe he doesn't need to be in a rush, right? Because black's not threatening d5.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't be threatening d5 for a long time, right? Because of, our knight and our pawn controlling that square. But maybe Jimmy wants knight f6. So I'm trying to think what is Jimmy's idea. Let's say I were to make like a move like bishop a3. Maybe you might have to worry about move like this, knight f6, hitting this pawn. Because I think all things considered, I would like to play bishop a3 at some point, yeah? Try to target and put pressure along this diagonal. But knight f6 hits this pawn. As previously mentioned, we don't really want to play knight d5, right?
Yeah.
Because
Maybe she should.
this is, I think, not a structure we're really super thrilled about. With f5 sort of unstoppable. So, the f6, how do we do? How do you deal with this pawn? Maybe f3? Because I don't really want to play f3, yeah?
Yeah, it's just block the bishop.
Yeah, exactly. So it'd be harder. We have less control over d5. So maybe black can now try to repair move like d5, yeah?
Yeah.
So I don't like this. No, it's double-edged, yeah, this position. I like the move c6 actually. Not sure what black should do against this. Yeah, computer also thinks that black is doing well. He loves this move c6, as we do. So yeah, I mean I think Jimmy is, you know, he's in the game. He's very much in the game and very much in the fight for the medals. He secured the West Malaysian medal at the very least, in the back. But can he get more than that? Maybe there's a good chance actually, just looking at this. It's quite a complicated position. And one thing I realize is that for players like this who like control, if they start to lose control, right? So players like Angelo who like control, they start to lose control, then it can get a bit messy. So we'll see. And I feel like once things get messy, then it's Jimmy's territory. So we'll see. See how that goes. Okay, so here we have one of those c4, c5 positions that I really like for white. Yeah, knight f8, knight c6, and d4, knight d4, and a6. It's a move. Queen d3 is normal, and now bishop d2. There's also something we said for moves like bishop g5. Trying to provoke h6 and then going back. Yeah, and then it could be knight d5 one. Later on, you can even play e4. So clamp down on black position. It's very hard for black to get any sort of breaks in, so that's the point, yeah? Okay, let's go down to Ismail Ahmad. And Ismail likes nothing better than his favorite Scandi. He likes nothing better than to do this. Yeah, queen d6 line. No, the broadcast is wrong. I think he brought the queen. He didn't play queen d8. I don't know why he played. It's stuck. It's stuck.
I mean, I don't recommend Scandinavian with higher levels because it's just bringing the queen out early.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? When you're Scandinavian,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's moving the queen a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, objectively, I feel that white has an advantage in a lot of these Scandinavian lines. If he comes well prepared, he can get an advantage, and a pretty serious one at that. So that's the thing. I feel like if you play it every now and then, it's okay, but don't play it every game. Like if it's your main repertoire, I think you can't really make it past a certain level with that as your main repertoire, because you're going to be hit with some horrible preparation at some point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's only a matter of time when you play a line like that. Yeah. I feel like if you want to go past like 21, 2200, you really need like a proper solid line nowadays. You didn't always need that. Like there was a time in chess where even at a 23, 2400 level, you could do whatever you wanted in the opening. Now all the 2300s are super booked up in your lines, so well, maybe you can still do it in these seniors. It's still possible. But if you go to any open tournament, let's say you were to go to like Bangkok Open, something like Dubai Open even. Okay, Dubai is different. Dubai is super strong. But let's say you were to go to some open tournament like Bangkok or Malaysia, you can't really survive, without any openings. Yeah, and that's why you see a lot of these senior players just playing senior tournaments, because it's very hard for them to keep up with the theory now. Some of them still work from their phone. Yeah, I mean, everyone was just telling me that he would save it in his phone or his prep and everything, which obviously the phone is not a good enough engine, right? So, obviously you need to run it on you need a computer and a good computer at that. Yeah. Wow, White has gone very aggressive in this game, by the way. He just goes to H2, just YOLO F4, E5, F5. All in, all in. D6. Queen D8 and Knight E4. No, these are like I like this what he's doing. B7 is hit, so black plays Queen B6, and wow, another powerful move. Queen F5. No, I think white is doing very well here. Should be 5, rook E6. And I like what black has done here in that sense. Because even though his position doesn't look that attractive, he's taken on D6. This is obviously something huge. And white's thinking, because I'm not sure what he thinks about his choices. I guess you have to take the exchange, right? Like, otherwise, yeah, I don't think it makes sense to do this and not take the exchange. I was thinking of some lines like this, which look really cool. The problem is that he does rook f6, right?
Yeah.
And then we don't look that cool after this. That's the issue. So what can we do? We could think about these queen g6 ideas in some lines actually. Just thinking how or whether it will work. That's the other question. It probably doesn't work right away because let's say you do this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what we have here. Queen f7, just king h8. And I don't think there's anything, right?
Yeah.
Like, because the rook is going to take on f1. There's nothing. So, we have to take this. We have to take this. Now, we could insert queen c8 check. That's the question. Do we want to insert that? It's another question we want to ask ourselves. Yeah. Because we can end up, in some cases, taking this pawn, right? No, this looks winning for it. Rook f6 is an idea in some lines as well. Maybe rook takes d6 followed by rook f6 is a threat, right?
Yeah.
So, sorry, a bit under the weather today. So I don't know what black's gonna do against this. Maybe he has to go back or something. But I don't know. I can even take on d6 and take here, right? Oh no, I can't take with queen d4. Oh wait, I can, I think. I can take. Check. And if you do this, I think I get this.
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't. It's like I'm pivoting between I can and I can't.
Oh, you're not on anymore.
Because there's this. And you take the rook back.
Yeah.
Ouch. Yeah, that's the thing, you're not pinned anymore, yeah? So I have to keep the pin, I guess. No, that was completely reckless to do that. Maybe I just need to think more simply. Come of the knight because of f7 hanging. Or maybe can you? You can just give it up with check. Bishop e4, king g, bishop f7, king g7. Is that dumb or is that genius?
Just rook f7.
Good question. Rook f7.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe there is this, but I guess we can dance away king g1.
Yeah.
We might be able to just dance away. Yeah. Check and just king h2 is nothing. Or queen d4 check, just king h2 as well, because f8 is hanging. Right. We can't take on c4.
No, I thought like you can block the check with the rook.
Oh yeah, that's true, and then we can take on f8. That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, that's true. That also works. So yeah, that's true actually. Whenever you play queen d1, it's rook f1 as well. Yeah, that's true. He said knight e2 though.
Wait, one.
Has to be done, right? Like, I mean, otherwise black loses. Can we escape here? King f2 problem. So the only check, so black has checks in g3 or d4. But if you do this, I think the king just runs. Yeah.
Yeah, just
And you will get blocked somehow with the rook, right? So king f2, queen d4 check, and then maybe just I don't know, king e1 maybe. Yeah, that's the way. Because as you mentioned, check is always black.
Yeah.
That I block. and queen c4, queen f8 mate.
Yes.
So that's over. So actually, this looks very strong.
Yeah.
But in the game, rook d6 was played. Interesting. And he takes rook d6 like this. Is he trying to go for queen g6 now? Ooh, that's an interesting one. Queen g6 here. How can black protect that pawn? It's not easy. Not easy yet. Does he have to do this? It looks absolutely horrible because he can take queen
Yeah.
because he has to take he has to take on e6. But at the same time, it is it is a decent amount of material, right? Black has 2 pawns for it, and obviously the tactics. If you take, then the queen hangs, right? So you can't do that. In fact, the queen is hanging now. If you play rook f6, then obviously not this, but I can just take here, I think. And no, it looks. I'm not sure about this actually. No, I'm not sure. But I think white should be doing well. Maybe this is the way you play rook f6. Yeah, and this is the problem. Queen f6, queen takes f6. The point.
Yeah, then you're up with bishop.
Yes, exactly. And this other lines don't make any sense. Yeah. Okay. Like if you were to put a queen here, I could even do this, right? It's the problem. Yeah, queen a2 doesn't hit anything, so we just go back with the queen. So maybe this is what he wants, yeah, just to do this, queen g6. He's thinking. He's certainly thinking. And oh, it's very strong. It's very, very strong. Rook e6. And the friendly best move is a5. Wow. That's kind of cool, actually. Yeah. Queen g6, yeah. Queen g6 is the way. So probably this was actually one of the best, yeah. Just to take and get queen g6 like this. So it's a very nice spot if black has actually seen this. Very nice, yeah. Apparently a5 is even better because takes might run into c4. But okay, this is also be winning, yeah. No, it's also completely winning. He says queen f6, but this is dead lost, obviously. Yeah, as we already saw. Okay, I think with that in mind, we'll take a we'll take a quick break. I think most of the interesting games are. Oh wait, we haven't looked at the Rihung game. There have been some progress. No, it has been agreed a draw. So, congratulations to Tran Ngoc for winning the tournament and Rihung for probably a bronze. Yeah, at least. If this guy doesn't win, I think, or if Caballes wins, so if Black doesn't win here, then Rihung's going to get a silver. So, congratulations on at least the bronze and you know perhaps even more. Yeah. So yeah, I want to take a quick break and we'll be back. Yeah, in about 10-15 minutes. All right. So don't go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for inviting me here.
Yeah, of course. All right, we are back. Yeah, and so be our last stint as commentators for this tournament. So, yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the games. My co-commentator as I wanted to look at some action in the under 14 category. So we're gonna go straight to that. Okay, so what do we have? We have a lot of draws, not too much action, but there is one game, one interesting game going on. I can see it's a Sicilian and should d7 takes, and this is I think all theory, right?
Yeah.
It's very much our preparation. H5. Ooh, is this a thing? It's quite interesting. H5, knight H5, bishop E7, queen E7, and yeah, it's interesting. It doesn't take on D6. Yeah, I guess he doesn't do that because of this, perhaps.
Yeah, just
And then we will take here, and then we take the pawn back with
Yeah.
a very nice position for black. So that's why he doesn't take it. He plays rook Q1. Black plays rook H7. Another weird move. Now this is weird. Okay, white plays queen E3. Makes sense. Take out of the F4 square. Maybe white wants to play F4 himself. Yeah. Queen C7, and white does get F4.
no.
And the rook goes back to H8. Okay. Yeah, this is quite weird. But okay, but black is getting a decent position. He gets E5 after all, so maybe we're a bit harsh on it. Knight E2, and yeah, I don't know whether white has played that accurately, but okay, it's a complicated position there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like black shouldn't have any troubles here. Yeah. How do you think he'll play? Queen E7 maybe? Something like that.
I mean, we need to
Just,
try to pressure the H2 pawn.
Yeah, I was thinking that, but there's no real way to do it, is there? Can we do anything about it? Maybe we can try this. But there is, yeah, Queen G4, there's
Yeah.
Bishop D7, so it's not an issue there. Yeah, it's not an issue there. Maybe we can try this, yeah. I was a bit concerned that you could kick our rook, but maybe it's not that big of a deal. We just go back or something.
Yeah, maybe
To H7, and then we go to H8. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, this also makes a lot of sense. Yeah, we'll see what he does. Basically, I think this makes sense as well. Okay, he plays something completely different. He plays rook E8. So he's thinking about targeting this pawn on E4. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe white for... I don't know what's gonna happen. It's quite an interesting position.
maybe do some waiting move, something.
I was thinking maybe white should get rid of the weakness. Okay, for
Yeah.
this would be something I would think about on white. Okay, we'll see. It's gonna be an interesting fight for sure, but not as interesting as this one, which is completely blown up. So just now I was walking around the playing hall, and yeah, this was the one that stood out to me, CD4, and yeah, I'm not sure. I think white doesn't really have a good recapture in that sense, because if he takes knight d4, then he gets like what he wants, right? Like knight comes
Yeah.
d3, and it's very well placed there. Or maybe not even knight e5. So we have knight d3, but also maybe coming into some other squares here. So white didn't want any of that. He took with the e pawn, and black hit with e5. Very interesting. So yeah, I guess black is trying to play f4. That's clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. If white doesn't do anything, black might just push the pawn one more square. But if white takes, well, it's gonna happen. Knight takes, perhaps. And knight's aiming for a lot of squares now. Yeah. So how bad is this? Let's see. We might have to take it. That's what I'm thinking, because I'm worried if I allow this,
Yeah, rook A2.
you might be running to some sort of knight jump. This worries me. Because now bishop c5 comes. And our pieces look very passive. That knight is a monster, right? So I think we might have to take. It's not what we want to do, but we might have to do it, right? Bishop e5 and like rook d1 like this. But black must be better after something like rook f8. Yeah, even something like
I think take the rook first.
Yeah, but I want to keep the d file, you know? We could also go greedy and do something like this if you wanted to. Right? So actually, you know what? I like this better. I think you're right. Let's go for like that. I like that better. Yeah. yeah, I think that's a good suggestion. Just take the pawn. It's nice. Yeah, so then I don't know what White's gonna do. It looks like Black is really taking over in this game. White has messed up a little bit. That's not gonna bode well for him, I think. Okay, any other games? I think that's it for under 14. Yeah, so maybe let's go on to the bigger boys. Uh, okay, so Board 1 ended in a quick draw, by the way. Yes, so yeah, we were congratulating Rihung until I realized that somehow his tiebreak is quite low. So he's gonna need some results in these lower boards. Some fortunate results in these lower boards to get a medal, I think. So hopefully things go his way. Rooting for fellow Malaysian, of course. So knight 3d6, and we have this sharp knight off that we saw earlier, right? So Black knows, right, with that first board draw, if he can win this game, he's gonna tie for first.
Yeah.
Is he gonna win on tiebreak? Probably not, because
50-50.
the thing is that you know the guy on the first board has a very high tiebreak, very much higher tiebreak. So I think he's basically won the tournament already with that draw. So yeah, but he knows that he'll get first, but he'll get at least silver, right?
Yeah.
He'll get silver probably, and with a small chance to get gold if a lot of results go his way and his tiebreak, his opponents start to win, his previous opponents all start to win, and his opponents start to lose, then he could overcome the deficit. It's possible. But okay, he needs to win. That's the first thing, right? If you don't win, then there's nothing to talk about. Rook f1 and bishop f8 chases the queen away, and bishop goes to g7. Very interesting. He's trying to provoke f6 in that sense, which I'm not sure. I guess that does cause position here, and then he can play f6.
Yeah.
So it does make sense, yeah. So queen f2 was played, and black plays h6 anyways. So game is really heating up here. This knight is, by the way, the biggest hero of black's position, because, if we take right, we can't even come in because of that knight, right?
Yeah.
And then we can't even take on e6 because c2 hangs. That seems to be a bit of an issue. What can we do? I've got a bit of an idea. I was gonna suggest something crazy like this, with the idea that after takes I wanted to do this, and something like bishop e6 or knight e6. But I think it's just dumb, because you probably can just take and now take on c2, and probably some knight move will be a problem. Yeah, because this hangs. Yeah, with this hangs. Still rook b1. A lot of things are hanging for black. Yeah, so maybe I'm a bit optimistic actually. I don't know. How is this actually? I think the computer thinks it's nonsense, but yeah, the computer saying it's total nonsense, as always. But because rook f8. Okay, so that's conclusive. And then later on the knight will jump. So probably even to d3, yeah, later on. And that's over. Okay, so that's nonsense. So after h6, we need to find something better than that. We need something better than that. So that was awful. What do we have? I can't calculate today. Don't really feel that great today, so can't seem to get my calculation in, but okay. I like the idea of not allowing him to take on c2. I just don't see how to do it. Maybe we take on e6. F takes e6 and knight f4. Something like this.
Yeah. I'm expecting that, and
Yeah. That's the idea, right? It's more sensible. Oh, it is way more sensible. Way more sensible. So maybe black has messed up a little bit, yeah. If this is somehow working, then he might have messed up a little bit. So we're checking with the engine. Knight f4 is good, but even better is to take on h6, and then just play king b1. Apparently, because now queen f6 is coming.
yeah.
And that's huge, right? That's really huge. So okay, H6, and now, yeah, I've taken C6 and knight F4 is played. Well, here black has I mean, knight F4 is not played. S6 is played, and he will probably take back with the pawn. I mean, that takes doesn't feel right. Now, maybe he has to do this, yeah. But I mean, everything is very strong here. Even knight F4 looks strong. No, maybe there is knight G4, so
Yeah.
and then there will be some sort of takes on E5, so maybe not, yeah. Some take and then like some E5. Maybe it doesn't look that clear. Or if queen G2, that's knight E3. That's the problem. So we don't really have a good square, yeah. Queen E2, we can take and take and just castle, yeah. Because C2 is a problem.
Yeah.
Can't take because of mate. So this is actually very interesting. I think white might be the one trying to play for a win. Because don't forget, if white wins this, I think he also gets a medal. We haven't checked the standings yet, but oh no, white is actually half a point behind, so it's gonna be very hard to get a medal in that case. But you know, stranger things have happened. Another person who is in contention for the medal is this player Fang. And I remember we didn't like his position earlier, but how things have changed. Goodness me. So we left it somewhere here, right? We didn't like this C4 idea. Rook B1, and white played D4, which is fair. And I'm not sure about B5 actually, because that ran into A4. But suddenly white got what he wants, right?
Yeah.
This is suddenly really, really nice for white. Yeah, there were probably better moves than B5, honestly. But what? I'm thinking. The bishop is... Black's position is a little bit awkward, so we need to find some coordination somehow. It's not super easy. Maybe we just bring the bishop back and then later on see what to do. I don't know. I believe B5 is good, but after A4, yeah, checking with the engine. After A4, bishop F6 is the way, which looks not that great because of this. But apparently there is just E5, and then we can later on maybe even try something like bishop E6 and push for D5. So black apparently has good counterplay here, but that's not easy, yeah. And BA4 is obviously wrong, so I feel like maybe you stumble into that by accident, having played b5 and missed a4. Then maybe you stumble into that like line with bishop f6 by accident because reacting to a4 doesn't seem that great, right? And now obviously white's doing well, and yeah, it's putting some pressure. It's got c5, and yeah, it's looking good now. f5. See, black's pieces are getting pushed back now. It's not good, yeah. Knight d6, and now knight d7. Oof. And now it looks very good for white, yeah. You can see that queen a2 is one move that looks very, very strong, yeah. Whereas if we look at fate, we probably just grab everything, right?
Yeah.
And we've got a clean extra pawn. Nothing to complain about. And everything to celebrate, in fact. So I think white is doing very, very well here. Okay, anything else? Let's go on to the big boys.
Yeah.
How's Nguyen doing? There is this line that we talked about earlier, right? From the well, it's this the grand fell, right? That we're talking about. It should be 5 and black takes c6. Okay, and now black takes c5, which probably is the d5. It's not very nice. Yeah. I don't know. ED5, I mean, it's always quite double-edged, these type of situations, right? Because this pawn is of course can be very strong because it's a pass pawn, right?
Yeah.
But if that pawn starts to get blockaded, then firstly this can be weak, and then black will start to push his queen's knight majority as well, right?
Yeah.
And once that happens, black will take over. So it's kind of double-edged. So we have to see, right, what black will actually do here. It's actually the solution. I mean, you can do a lot of things, I guess, here, and it's doing fine. I don't know. I feel that the games are a bit slower today, so not much action at this point. Yeah, let's see what else is doing. We have Fabian here in this slide again, rookie 8, and yeah, still the game is proceeding quite slowly. No real action, just a lot of maneuvering. But I think white is getting his pieces to some quite nice squares here. Queen F1. Queen F1, I don't really understand that, but maybe he's tackling a move like F4. Because at this point, I think what White is doing is he's just threatening a lot of different ideas and trying to force Black to react to it. Yeah. And the more he does this, the more Black is gonna fall behind on the clock. You see, Black's already quite a bit behind, right?
Yeah.
So White is gonna wait until Black's got like 3 or 2 minutes, and then he's gonna make a break, like F4. I think that's White's strategy. That would be the ideal strategy because then it'll be hard for Black to react, and White will have a lot more time. So we'll see how Black reacts to this. Makoyo's game. Oh no.
Bro.
This is a
What?
yeah. This is a game that we're looking at, right? We're saying that he's going for this structure, going for the kingside play, and Black hit with d5, very aggressive, and White is now swapping off stuff in the center, and obviously Black's structure is really nice, but White did not go for this line to get the structure. Obviously, it's got knight f5, aggressive, very aggressive, and he's going for the attack. So. I find it surprising he hasn't played Queen Rook H4 yet, but I guess the reason why is the Knight F8 is
Yeah.
good enough to protect everything. So this is not what he wants, but then how can he continue the attack? Because if he can't continue the attack, then Black will use his nice structure, right? He will probably play Knight F8 next move, regardless of what you do, and then he can start to get his play. Now that Black's activated all his pieces. So I don't know. I don't see what White can really do, actually. I think their position is... I think Black is actually fine here. And maybe... but of course, you know, we will see.
No, not this one.
Maybe Bakoyo is looking at. He'll definitely try his best to come up with something here. But the question is what? Yeah? Okay, we have Uzziah, who has played the...
Only my mom knows.
Yep, the posted variation, Knight F6, D6.
Yes.
And okay, we have a Maroc. Yeah, it's a Maroc C type position, a hedgehog type position. Castles and Rook C8. And this is typical idea, Rook C7, the queen will go to, for instance, to A8 or B8. And, ooh, goes to Rook to E8. I thought it was going to go like Queen B8, Rook F8. But this is also very typical. Rook goes back to C8. Yeah, Black is just playing this position just to... I mean, what Black is doing, I feel, in a lot of these situations is that he just wants to keep a lot of pieces on the board. Because he's trying to play for a win against his lower rated opponent, and we know that Uzziah is not doing very well in this tournament. So when you see something like that, your strategy is keep all the pieces, right?
Yeah.
So, Knight F6, and now Uzziah hits with V5. Interesting. So he thinks it's the time to hit. It makes sense. There are some issues for Black, for instance, that Rook, but wow, Black just gives up the exchange. Perhaps he didn't have anything better, yeah, because if you did this, then White can now crash in on B6, and this would be worse. So perhaps he had to give up the exchange. Is it so bad, though? Bishop C6, Bishop C6, right? Knight goes back. There's something to be said for a move like B5 as well, by the way. If the idea that if bishop goes back, we can maybe drop the bishop back, and B6 is always going to be hit, right?
Yeah.
He could insert knight d4. This is possible, and drop the bishop back. But then now maybe we can think about coming in on C6 in some case. Maybe even now, actually. Takes and, I don't know, ED6 or something.
But my sister...
Maybe we don't have to take that fast. Maybe just a strengthening move. That what? Queen d3 or something? Yeah, try to take this. No, this is winning. So I think Uzziah is doing very, very well here. It turns out it's not that clear because yeah, checking it with the engine, there is knight g3, so we are blind. But that's okay. Yeah, knight g3 is the idea. But I'm probably very strong is to do something like this because now queen b2 is coming. Yeah.
No, my...
And can be easy to miss a move like this because you're looking at the queen side, but you know, Black's king side is also quite loose. So quite strong actually. And We'll see if Black will manage to find this, yeah? Okay, what else is there? Oh wow, Arca is lost.
How did Arca look?
Arca is lost. Oh, this is a disaster for him, yeah. I mean, he can take comfort in the fact that he completed his IM title last month, so it's not gonna make a difference in the grand scheme of things. But obviously, it sucks to lose the last round, sucks to lose out on medal. You know, when your opponent just plays. But sometimes when your opponent plays perfectly, you see Bishop D3 just perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
Bishop F3, Queen F5 was even better, yeah. So that you could take back with the Queen.
Yeah.
But yeah, because there was this mate threat, right? So you can't do anything. But GF3 is of course good, yeah. Knight C6 still of course very good. Two bishops and all. And I think White never let the advantage slip here. I mean, it was a little bit shaky in the conversion, but White always kept the advantage. And yeah, I don't know about Queen A8. The Queen exchange it just seems like too much. And now after Bishop E5, Black decided that enough was enough. Because of course you would take right then. Yeah, you can't even stop the pawn because D6 I'll still go B7, followed by Rook C8 and Shelton.
Yeah.
So that's how the game ended. Okay, so I think that's all for now. Let's see if we can go and see if there's anything in the lower categories. Under 60. Let's see anything here. Yeah, I think we have seen most of them. This is the interesting one, right? I feel like today the games are surprisingly less interesting, which you would think is counterintuitive because it's the last round, but somehow there are a lot of quick draws. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think there should be a rule for these tournaments that, you know, if you make too many quick draws, you won't get the title.
Yeah.
Because it's already one of the easier ways to get an FM or IM title. Sorry, I mean, no offense, but it's probably the easiest way to get the FM or IM title nowadays. So, you know, if you're gonna let people get it this way, you know, at least force them to make some moves. You know, I mean, don't make quick draws like this. It's not fun that way. So,
It looks so good.
yeah, White takes and Knight F4.
Oh.
And, yeah, Black just castles. Yeah, we were looking at this, right? We looked at this, we were saying GH6 was best. Knight F4 was the move I suggested, so it can't be too bad, but this is apparently really, really strong because Queen F6 is coming, Knight F4 is always a threat, and Black's position just is in big trouble. But after Knight F4, actually, now Black can castle, and it's already not so clear. So I think the logical thing would be to move the Queen off this file. I also want to keep the Queen along the second rank so that it's defending this pawn. So I don't run into like some tactics where it eliminates this knight, yeah?
Yeah.
So I think something like Queen G2. Not so sure about this. I mean, the computer's suggesting something like this, but yeah, okay, that's true. There is some tactics for these guys. Knight E3 is also an idea.
Yeah.
So maybe this is not that great. That is not so clear. We can do this, by the way. Knight D6. This looks quite strong, but actually this is somehow holding for Black. Yeah, Knight E3. So it seems that Black is somehow still very much in the game. And I think we'll see this because Bishop E6 was played. I don't see what else Black can do. Yeah, everything is hanging, so he must take this knight. It's the only way. You can't take with the queen because of mates, you gotta take with a knight. And Knight G4 followed by Knight E3 is gonna come. Sorry. And I think Black is actually doing... He's doing okay here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So get Austin. Oh, Austin is getting crushed. This is sad to watch. Well, he played Queen B3. It's also strong, by the way. Knight 65 and oof. Queen D5. Total disaster.
Double attack.
Yeah.
Otherwise, me.
Easy. Easy win for White. Yeah, you know, I take that back about Black having a nice position in all the Malaysian games. I think Malaysian games are like I mean, now all our positions look like the idea already a draw. They just suck. So this one was a draw, by the way. He just took straight on D4 and agreed to draw like this. White just had no ambitions to try to win this game. I think it's already, I don't know. I think he already had no chance to win any prize. So he's like, okay, draw is fine.
Yeah.
And Black obviously being much lower rated is kind of thrilled with this draw. Yeah. Both players can't win the prize anymore, so Black's just trying to maximize rating gain. And easy draw with Black is kind of as good as it gets. Oh, okay, so there is some hope for Malaysians. E5, yeah, was very nice here. As we already left it, we left it somewhere here, right? And we said we really liked black, right? Queen A5. Ooh, that actually looks pretty good because now, right, you currently defend that pawn in rook A1, right? Because he runs
Yeah,
into
just
some
rook
check.
A1.
Yeah, he runs into some check and you can take this guy. So it's a complete disaster.
Yeah.
So what happens is he has to play knight f3, which is already obviously very nice for black because of this move, cementing everything. And well, white takes on e5, but it's disaster. Bishop e5 and yeah, and I think we might see finally a good result for a Malaysian. I mean, white's position is totally vasto. In fact, if he plays bishop f5, as they suggest, then I don't know what white can do. Obviously, you can't play knight d2 because we just take it. You have to do this. But wow, this is a really nice winning move. Queen d8. h4 and you put the queen on f6 like this. And black is winning. Yep. Probably just queen d4 check and you take it.
Yeah.
Yep, that's easy. Okay, so under 16 we have one hope. Obviously no chance to win anymore. No real chances. I mean, hoping that Riam's tiebreak pulls through, but other than that, it's gonna be hard. Yeah, I think, yeah, for under 18 as well, it's not looking that great. We have no chances for medal here, obviously. Kevin didn't have a great game yesterday, so that's a pity. Yeah, he didn't have a very smooth event. Kevin, he started well, but it's hard because every round you get a strong opponent, right? So it's
Yeah.
you really have to stay consistent all the way, you know, especially in the high categories like under 20, yeah, where it's like every player is strong, so you have no easy rounds. Okay, yeah, I mean the Chahaya games and the other games are going very slowly,
Yeah.
but we have developments in the Uzaya game. Knight f5 was played, and none of the above actually. We were saying that Bishop c6 was tempting but wrong because there is double attack here, right? This way.
Yeah.
Or, but then the best move was actually to do this, right? And to
Yeah.
play Bishop a1 and go for Queen b2. But it's not super intuitive to do this, right? So I can understand him missing that. He plays Bishop f5 instead, which seems to make sense, yeah. E5. Yeah, because G5 would be suicide to open the king. So E5 is forced. So what's his idea? Is it something like E6? Probably it is, yeah. Because if black takes, then it's a disaster immediately. So black has to move the knight. Probably back to F8. Well, maybe he has some other moves to exploit this pin, now I'm thinking of it. So maybe moves like Bishop F6 could be interesting as well. Yeah, actually I don't like moving the knight. I like this a bit more. Just exploiting the pin this way. And I'm not sure about position like this. I mean, it looks kind of pleasant for white. So maybe this is a good practical decision as well. But obviously, it's not so clear. Something like c5 coming up. It's a bit
Yeah.
annoying, but okay, black can play king g7, and I'm not sure this is that dramatic. Yeah, white is obviously a little bit better, but black has come to play. This one.
Take a picture of my sister.
So yeah, I think on that note, we'll take another quick break. We'll be back in about 10 minutes, and then that'll be our last session, okay?
Yeah.
So don't go anywhere. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for the final round. Yeah, we will have about 30 minutes of look at these games and then we'll call it a day. Yeah, so let's see. There have been a lot of developments here in this game. Yeah, so what's happened? That d5 pawn is gone for some reason. Don't even ask me why, but it's gone. Bishop b5. We were saying, right, if you take that pawn, then it's going to be really bad. So, when that pawn was played, that pawn is starting to look weaker with every passing move. So, not a good sign for white. Wow, he plays rook e1. Was there really no way to protect it? Perhaps not, because you go rook d1, he gets rook d8, yeah. So somehow after these trades and getting queen f4, it looks really bad. I think white is really taking over. I mean, black is really taking over here. Rook e1 and black gets that pawn, and his idea was to get knight e5 here. And this actually looks really strong here, because I guess the idea is if you do this, then rook takes e5, and there will be some discovery. So probably black cannot take on e5. Then what can he do? He can move the rook. Yeah, that is one option. Well, is there anything for white here? That's the question. That is the question. Is there knight g4 maybe? So with the idea of taking a d5 and taking an f6 and knight h6, yeah. I mean, one, just to show, this is white strat, which would be really bad to allow. So, knight g4, and, well, something has to be done about this. But if rook f8, we can now maybe double on the d-file, so this is already looking not that great, yeah. So maybe after knight e5, they need another better move. Wait, is there rook e8? So rook e8, if knight d7, there is rook e1 check. That's the idea. That's checkmate, actually. And can white do anything about this? What's white's idea? Because if you play rook e1, I can take this guy. So I win easily. Then I don't know what you can do after rook e8. That's the question. What's the move? I don't know. I don't think there's any move, actually.
That's crazy.
I cannot see it. Yeah, I don't see anything. I think it's lost, just lost, yeah? Maybe you have to bring the knight back. It's awful, obviously, because at the very least, black can take on e1 and then... Yeah, it's doing very well. Maybe even take this pawn. Yeah, it's total disaster. Black is winning here. So, yeah, we will see, I guess, Chahaya win the tournament, I reckon. And, yeah, Dang An Min's going to be up there in the standings as well. Let's see what's happening in this Marian Glen game. So lots of developments. So we left it somewhere here, right? We're saying that Queen f1 was trying for f4, and black plays knight g4. He has none of it. Knight g4 and hg4. Actually, I think this is a very good transformation for black, because now he doesn't really have to worry about f4 or h4 ideas anymore. Because, he can always just, en passant. So rook a5 is played. Just trying to use the a file, but black's playing rook a8, which I think is very accurate. Because, as I understand, you probably cannot do this because of some queen a2 or something. And, if knight c4, then there's a queen b1 check idea and queen e4. So this is not good. So queen a1 was played, but now it seems like black is just holding on now, yeah? c4 and b4, and I think black has no problems. And, maybe I think I might even like black. Yeah, the bishop is pretty active on g5. He can try to reroute his knight. He would love to get his knight to g5. It's not easy to see how to get that if he get that right now, but he will try to get that in the future. Another idea that he can try is to play something like g6 followed by f5, which also looks like a very strong plan. So either way, it looks like a good idea for black to do this, and I like black. Okay, let's look at the Bakoyo game. This is of course a big fight for a championship. I mean, this is obviously not a big fight for the championship, but it's gonna be a nice bonus if Bakoyo manages to win this. I think he will feel good about himself. Yeah, and for a player who's had such tough luck this whole tournament, I'm really rooting for him to get the win here. But it's hard. So what's happened is he played rook h4 as expected, and black played knight f8, knight e3, and rook d4. Rook h4. So just some maneuvering going on. Maybe h4 is coming up, and he does play h4. Queen h5. Ooh, interesting. So black forces the queens off the board. He's clearly scared of this attack, and understandably so. But I'm not sure that this was the right way to do it, because his structure is horrible. Now maybe knight g6 is just hard to meet after all. Could he have played a move like g3, actually just protecting everything? So knight g6, then he just goes back to f2, something like this. Now maybe this is just fine for black, because it's not easy to target this guy, is it? Yeah. b3 is hit, and if bishop e2, he can place something on g4, and black should be fine here. So knight g6 was played, he gave out this pawn, but he takes h5. It's fair enough. d4, and yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think black is fine. I don't really see, white having anything here, which is unfortunate for Bakoyo, but that's how it is, right? Sometimes when you have a bad tournament, it just gets worse, yeah? They say when it rains, it pours, so it's definitely pouring like it is this morning, at least on Bakoyo's head. Now, okay, let's go back to the Ozai game, because it seemed like he was looking, his position was looking very promising. So actually here there was a much stronger move he could have taken, right? As we already mentioned, with Queen B2 coming up. We've mentioned this like 5-6 times already, but still worth recapping it. Bishop F5 was played, and E6. So this is of course very sensible as well, and I think a good practical decision actually, because white's position looks very pleasant here, and rook E6 was played, and now white breaks with C5, and gets knight c5, that's nice, and well, I like white's position a lot actually. Maybe there was even something to be said for knight takes c5. I wonder why he didn't do this. Oh, sorry. My apologies. You can't play knight takes c5 because the queen is hanging, so that would just lose, yeah? The bishop is protecting the queen now. So, you have to play bc5, and queen c7 is played. Okay, so what now? If cd6, black's idea is clearly to go queen c6, threatening to give mate. And this is maybe a bit awkward to meet, because if you go queen g3, there could be some, tactics. I don't know what tactics. Bishop h4 could be an idea. The immediate h4 looks sensible as well. So, yeah, with some ideas like maybe even this. Yeah, it's not looking that great for white if white does that. But if white can't take on d6, then it's quite unclear already, right? Like bishop e4, this could be coming. Maybe he needs to play knight d4, but I don't know. I don't really know how good this is. I mean, the rook can go back. He's played knight d4. There's also something to be said for just exchanging on d4 and just going for a position like this. Yeah, white will get bishop e5, and there is some compensation, but I like black already, actually. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he has to take queen takes. Maybe that's the way. So I think d5 might be a bit risky now, because there is rook queen d7 check. Yeah, but maybe this is still fine as well. We can play, for instance, rook e7. I think black is doing fine actually. I don't think that this is that big of an issue. Yeah. Maybe the idea though is to do something like this. The same idea that we saw earlier. This could be dangerous actually. So queen c6, and then we just play like rook f2, and we renew this queen c3 threat. This actually looks quite, dangerous. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. I think both sides have play, and we'll see whose play is actually faster later on. I think the girls have mostly made quick draws, and the other remaining game is looking quite balanced. So we are going to move on to the under 16s. So as we were saying, right, if black were to win this game, he would tie for first. That's not gonna happen. Black's a pawn down, and he's just trying to survive, which I don't know whether he will. I think it's so miserable for black. Somehow something went wrong here. So we saw this, right? Oh, he played queen a5. He didn't find this idea. And that's huge for white, obviously. It's huge. Gh6 deflecting that bishop, and knight c4 was his idea to take on a2, but h7 check. Wow, queen a7. This is very cool. So now that bishop is in trouble, and white manages to simplify into a better endgame, and now he's won a pawn, and it's gonna be a lot of suffering for black. Probably he has to play like rook e2, but then I can go king d3, and then I can start to push on the queen side. Yeah. So he plays rook h3 right away, but it doesn't really change that much. I can still start to push this way, and eventually I'll play king d5 and start to create a passer here. I think white's position is miserable. It's absolutely miserable. Oh, actually another way is I could just play e5 and create a passer after I play c4. I want to get these pawns going first. I'll play c4, and then later on I'll play e5. Yeah, that's the way. And white is just... I think white might just be winning here, because the king is just so active. It's easy to create a pass pawn. I think this is one of those winning rook endgames. So not all rook endgames are drawn in that sense. Yeah, so the computer's giving a +3 evaluation, which tallies. Certainly tallies with the position. Okay, so Austin has lost. He got completely crushed as we expected. His opponent was just really strong. After playing c4, which was not a good move, he played great chess. And another one who's going to suffer is Justin here. Austin was suffering, and now it's Justin that's going to suffer. Yeah, but I think probably it should be a draw objectively, but white has a million tries. His idea will be trying to improve his king sort of slowly, and we'll see. He's probably trying to think about bringing his king somewhere here and trying to match a little bit. Maybe later bring the rook somewhere to the king side, try to create some trouble. Okay, there are a lot of ways for white to try for advantage, but I think black should be holding objectively because he can protect all of his weaknesses at one go. And it's not easy for white to create threats. Not to mention that, of course, it's a rook endgame with only 4 pawns, so very limited material. But suffering still. Okay, let's go to the under 14s. What's going on here? And yeah, not very much. Lots of the games have ended already. Yunrui is... Well, what's going on here? Knight e3 is a big threat, which I guess doesn't bode well for him. Doesn't bode well for him at all. How did this happen? So we left it somewhere here, right? We really liked black's position after e5, so we really like black here, and bishop just goes back. No, this is horrible. Queen b3 check, and yeah, this is real bad. Real bad. e3. Oh, we have Grandmaster Joey. Yep. Did you win your game? Oh, we have a silver medal, yeah? Silver medal with Grandmaster Joey. Oh, and we have Poyuchen's back in the stream. Sorry about that. We don't have the board. But you want to go through your game?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do that. Okay.
So I play e4.
Yep.
Play c5.
Yep.
I play knight f3. Play g6.
Yep.
Usually play knight c6.
Yep. So deviate. Yeah.
So surprise.
Yep.
So I play c3.
Yes.
And then play bishop g7.
Yep.
d4. d, cd, and d5. This is story, Play e5. Play knight c6. Then bishop d5. I must play bishop d5. Otherwise, he has bishop g4. And
right.
My pawn on b4 is hard.
And if he does
No, he played bishop d7.
Yeah, if he does this, he will take. Yes, and then yeah,
and knight bd2.
Yes.
And this is
yeah.
d5
Yes.
Anyway, we play bishop g7. I play queen d2 because he has knight e5.
Yes. So you had to stop that. Yeah.
You had to stop that.
So protect the bishop. No.
The bishop. I took.
Yeah.
Because if you take my pawn and then c5 also.
Yeah.
No,
this is a whole, yeah.
So bishop.
Yep.
Just like small pawn, yeah.
Yeah.
Knight c3. Play e6. So bishop g4 is not possible now.
Yeah.
I have castle. I play h4.
Yeah. h6.
Yeah, right. Play knight e7. Then queen.
D1. So you want to play queen d2?
Yeah. So I did castle because I have I have attack on h6. You play castle, queen d2. Play
yeah. If he castles, then you play queen d2.
Yeah,
and then maybe h5.
Yeah, it's fine.
And
take by bishop.
Take, yeah.
Take and then h6.
h6, yeah.
Yeah.
And then take, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's easy win, yeah. Like something like this even, yeah. Anything. Okay.
Okay.
He doesn't castle. He does something better. Then castle.
Yeah, King D2.
And he walk.
King
King
D7.
D7.
Wow.
We were like,
I
wow.
was thinking of castle queenside.
Yeah, maybe also.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe he want to use the c4.
Yeah. You have
But
to
maybe
use,
I guess
maybe
you'll push, yeah, or
King
something.
on D7 is safe, you know.
Yeah, maybe. Because now
Yeah.
maybe you'll start the push.
Yeah, something like that, you know.
Okay.
Anyway,
King D7. And you
What
play
do we
rook
do?
H3.
look at it, right?
Yes.
Because G4 is coming.
Yeah.
So I'm as
Rook protected, yeah.
protected. Right?
So you can just take it twice,
So they
right?
can take it, you know.
Yes.
It, yeah, from the G4. Anyway,
Very nice. So rook A8.
okay. And then play King.
One, yes. King to
King
the
provides
yes.
castle, yeah, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I'll come.
Very nice.
But my rook is on. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good, right? So E5 is very hard to be played.
Yeah, and then
Very nice.
rook B1, I think
Yes.
rook B1.
Now you look at B4, yeah.
G4.
G4.
G4, very strong.
Very strong. Then like G7, and then B4.
Very strong.
Then, yeah, right? Next A4.
Yeah.
The bishop is nothing there, you know.
Yeah. B5.
So close because of knight C6, you know.
Yeah, very nice.
And then, what did they say?
And now you play knight D1
Knight
to go to
D1.
E3. Very nice.
Time to, if it doesn't have something like that, you know.
Yeah.
So he play H5,
And you just
I say, yeah.
to get to G4.
Bishop G,
Very nice.
Bishop G7, then Bishop G5.
Keep pressure, yeah.
He took the point, right?
Yeah, he took the-
10, okay. Then check.
Yes.
I want to open the E5 square.
Very nice.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. What do you play? Queen?
Yeah.
Hindi, rook C8. You must play.
Very
Because
nice.
otherwise, check.
Check.
No, check. King E8 and rook E1. So, my rook is very, you know, depends.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can come
The
across. Yeah.
third one, yeah?
Yeah, very strong.
So,
And now
check,
take the pawn.
take,
Huh?
Queen takes,
I think
Queen
this is not
B4.
so clear. Yeah. It
It's
looks
so clear.
winning, no?
Yeah, I don't know.
It looks winning, but
What this is, I move, I don't know.
computer will find some miracle. Yeah.
This bishop C1 is, well,
Apparently rook D4 was not right, yeah?
always play it.
Apparently he says just protect this guy and then now you have a lot of threats here, like knight C4 and take or something.
Yeah.
That would
Is
be
that-
very strong.
yeah,
But it's
because
very
of that.
hard to see, I guess.
I guess
This is so natural, no? And then
Natural.
threaten checkmate.
And
It's
then
like
queen.
how to resist, yeah.
Wow, bishop C1, I don't know.
Looks very nice. No?
Yeah, then bishop A3.
I don't know how he defends. It looks
Mhm.
crazy. Apparently he has to play E4, but it looks so dangerous, no?
And then,
So dangerous. This
Just
looks
like-
winning. This
Yeah,
looks
yeah,
winning.
yeah.
I don't care what they say. It looks winning. In the game, you will win it for sure. Yeah.
See?
In
You
D6.
didn't see this move. Rook
Ooh, wow. Brilliant move.
You
Brilliant.
play rook S5, I play queen D4. Play na saan?
Ha? Play na yan, pare.
Ano play na?
Oo, ginawa ko yung pero baliktad. Ako
What?
yung itim.
Yeah.
What a love
But in, yeah. Anyway.
You had to leave it for a
the
bit
queen
longer. Yeah, so perfect position.
Yeah.
But
Queen
you play queen
F6,
F6, okay. Boring.
And then bishop B4.
Yeah. Now you win.
Yeah.
Very nice.
No, anyway.
Ooh.
Okay.
Crushing.
Ooh.
Ooh, brilliant game.
This is
Brilliant game. Brilliant C this one. Brilliant C. What a way to end the tournament. Yeah. A win when you needed the win and
Yeah,
you
I'm
did it
very
in
happy
such
with
a
this game, you know,
style.
because I need a win to get a silver, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's guaranteed now. Yeah,
guaranteed
when you
to
win
get
this.
silver, so
Yeah, it's good job.
you know, it was,
Oh, and
Yeah.
Jimmy lost. Yeah, Jimmy Liu lost. So
I don't know, so maybe, also.
Jimmy Liu lost. So it's good for you. Yeah.
No.
No, he's already in.
Hey.
So the gold was still there.
Yeah.
Chan Peng Kong is my tiebreak.
Chan
He
Pei
got,
Gong.
he got the bronze.
Right.
And,
Very good.
Very good.
So you go already.
so
Yeah.
thank you very
Good.
much, sir.
Okay.
Yeah,
Congratulations,
Thank you
Joey.
very
GM
much.
Joey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talo pa kasi ano?
Silver
Talo.
medalist
Yeah.
for the senior 50 section. And we have joining us International Master Efren Bagamasva.
I lost in the rapid.
No. Oh, by the way, Efren has got a crazy schedule. He's playing the classical, and as he finishes, he just goes straight to the rapid, like no rest. There are actually two tournaments going on at the same day, and we're like, no one would be crazy enough to play two. And who would you know? We have one of the veterans of the chess doing both. Even I wouldn't dare to do that if I was playing. So very brave.
Oldest participant in the rapid.
Of course, no question, no question. Yeah, no
Oldest
question.
participant in ASEAN chess.
Yeah, do you want to come and have a seat? Yeah, have a seat, have a seat. Yeah, have a seat, have a seat. He wants to eat first. Yeah, let him eat first. He's got a very he's had a really long day, so yeah, we'll let him eat
Give
first.
me break time in the rapid.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it lunch for the rapid now or
No.
rapid is break
Finish
now?
already. Finish.
Finish. All
Finish
game
already.
finished.
Yeah, all game finished.
So fast. How many games were there?
5.
Just 5 games. All 5 games finished. Oh, okay. Then can go home, after this. Later this afternoon, no game, yeah?
Yeah.
No game.
No game.
Okay, so yeah, congratulations on a successful event.
Abe,
And
may blitz pa mamaya.
yeah, let's
Do
see.
you have blitz? Huh? No?
Is there a pre-sea games blitz?
Blitz?
What time they doing? So not today, yeah?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
2:45.
So I guess that will be all the chess we will cover today. Thank you all very much for tuning in. And yeah, that will be end of my commentary for the ASEAN Youth. But you can still catch up on some videos on my channel Malaysian Chess. There are going to be some very interesting games. Tin Jing Yao games as well. I've got a few of them. So yeah, check them out. Tin Jing Yao, we have Megaranto, and hopefully later Efren as well. We'll see. Okay.